I'm Mary Jordan. I work at the Washington Post, and on behalf of mainstream media, thank you for doing this, because I realized as I was listening to the woman who was talking about her old people who are isolated when they're dying and the indigenous, and that we have not put this front and center, that there are a lot of people, a lot of different groups that we have seen separately, but actually what power in thinking about all of these different groups with the same common theme. And I've spent a lot of time in jails for some reason. I think it was my work. I actually haven't been convicted of anything. But in these prisons, the ultimate penalty is to be by yourself, right? It's just, I just spent most of this year writing a book with two women. It was a famous crime case in Cleveland, Ohio, where a guy snatched 3 women off the street and kept them in his house for 10 years, did horrible things to them. The key thing he did was isolate them from each other, from their family. He put them in different rooms, and I've been spending the last year talking to them about what that kind of isolation did. So the magic of today is to bring all these people from different places together to put this front and center on the agenda, so thank you. I'm joined here by remarkable people from City Year. Now, City Year is this fabulous program that started in the States, which was basically a takeoff on AmeriCorps, or the Peace Corps. You see Timmy Shriver's here. His father started the Peace Corps with the most important idea that there are people that want to volunteer and there are people that need help. And it's a mutual benefit to everybody. So City Year started in Boston and went to South Africa, and it's a youth development program. So it's young people helping younger people who often come in poor neighborhoods. So I want to introduce Portia, Smash, and Lindiwe, who work in this youth development program in Johannesburg. They have 9 primary schools, and young people come in and help the kids. So why don't we just start about who you're helping? And then we'll go on from there about who are the kids in these 9 schools in South Africa that you're helping. Portia?
Thank you.
Here you go. Okay, go ahead.
All right, thank you. So far, as you have explained, that we are currently partnered with 9 primary schools across Gauteng. Gauteng is one of our provinces in South Africa. So we work with learners who are in grade 4 to 7, and our main focus is on English, maths, and life skills. So our program is divided into 2 components. Our day starts as early as 8:30 in the morning. So as soon as we arrive at the school, we have the morning program that we called the in-school program, where our volunteers, they are partnered, we partner them with educators, and they act as teacher aides or teacher supports, while the educator, maybe for an example, while the educator is busy teaching learners in front.
Learners are students.
Learners are students, yes. While the teacher is busy teaching the students, our volunteers, they help with admin work, like putting charts on the wall and identifying learners who are struggling or behind. Sorry about that. Learners who are behind with their work. And if there's some group work that needs to be done, our volunteers, they divide learners into smaller groups and facilitate the group sessions. And then in the afternoon, what we do, immediately after the learners are dismissed, or the school is out, we conduct the after-school program, where we try to bridge the gap, bring learners who are off track with their studies, and so that they come on track and they excel in their work. And our main focus of our program is the after-school program. But I think the best, the main component of our program is boosting the self-confidence and the self-esteem of learners, so that when they start grasping their academic work, already we have laid a foundation where they believed in themselves and they believe that they can do it and they can make it out there on their own, even if CTA is no longer there. And we have seen remarkable results once we have laid that foundation.
Thanks, Portia. And Smash, tell us who some of these isolated kids are. Why do they need help and why do they want Are they poor? Tell us about the students that you're helping.
Hello, everybody. I think for our learners, our students, some of them are poor. Some of them come from families where they don't have anybody at home who would help them with the homework because their parents themselves didn't go to school, or the curriculum that the government is offering in schools changes every year. So I did Bantu education and now it's OBE. So if my niece or my child comes from school, they have homework I'm struggling to help with as well. So our volunteers, we train them so that when they have this work that they are doing at school, our volunteers are aware of the work that they're doing, and it's easier for them to help the learners.
When we were talking before, we were talking about sometimes there are 10 kids in a home, and some of them have been physically and sexually abused and are outsiders because of other things. Who wants to jump in and talk about some of the problems that you're trying to overcome here?
Okay. Good morning, everyone. So with me, I'm going to talk about my experience in the school that I work in. I work in a disadvantaged community. And you find that in a household, there are 10 kids, or in one room, which is a shack, a house made out of zinc material, there stays a parent and kids. And the problem is that parents they drink a lot, and sometimes when kids come back from home, the parents are already drunk. So you can imagine, as soon as you are drunk as a parent, everything happens in front of the kids while kids are looking, thinking that kids are asleep. So when you come to school, when kids come to school, the challenge is they don't focus. It doesn't matter if the kid is able to do the work, but because of the certain challenges that kids experience at home, and also given the responsibility where they need to look after the little ones because the parents are most of the time at ship-ins drinking. So that is the main focus. And also because the kids are left alone most of the time, neighbors already understand the system of how these kids live. So neighbors are also taking an advantage of these kids. So they'll say, no, I'll buy you bread. I'll give you 5 rand so that you can buy bread. Don't tell anyone. And tomorrow again, I'll give you, as long as you don't tell anybody what I'm doing. And it's because there is no food for these kids.
Just to be clear,
Yes.
what are they doing to these kids for 5 cents?
Who knows? Because these kids never say exactly, but you find that most of these kids have been sexually abused by certain people around the community. And it's because they understand, the community understands how these kids are living. So I understand that your parent is not at home at all during the day. So I'll use that advantage. And I know that you're struggling, so I'll use that advantage and use your body and give you money at the end of the day. And some kids feel it's their responsibility to try and find money to assist their siblings with it. So those are certain cases that we are experiencing in our schools and from our learners that are coming from those disadvantaged communities.
After you identify these kids, and often they're the ones who are not doing well academically, and you get to know them, how do you help them? What do you do? Little things. Talk about the little things that make a difference.
I think for starters, it's to make that connection with the learner, because as soon as the learner has developed some level of trust with the volunteers or with the volunteer, they are able to confide and go deeper and share their stories. As soon as that foundation is being laid, as an organization, what we try to do is to give the child that reassurance that the information will not be shared if they don't want to, and believe in them. But what we also do with their permission, we try to refer those cases for further assistance in different organizations where learners can receive some formal assistance.
And if they come to school, you can't get food if you don't have a lunchbox. Is that right? Yeah. So what do you do there? Smash, what do you do?
That's when we come up with projects where we get stakeholders, local stakeholders, to donate whether plates or to donate containers where learners can get the food. Because if you don't have a container and there's food, it's cooked, but you don't have a container, so it's difficult for a learner to go and get the food. So what we do, we come up with projects where we can have those containers donated to the school and we keep them in a safe place. Because even if you give the learners to take them home, some of them don't bring the containers back at home because the parents have taken it, using it for a different
It's
thing.
just such a fixable thing, you know, for lack of a plate, you can't have lunch. And so you are actually getting these physical things they need, like shoelaces and, I mean, small things that you can't actually go out and play when you don't have shoes that stay on your feet.
We also do the food gardening projects. The veggies that we grow, the school will take it and actually cook for the learners.
So are you also teaching the kids how to grow the vegetables?
Yes, we do.
And the project is going very well in Lindiwe school. They have a huge vegetable garden that city has started in 2005, and every year that vegetable garden is growing and growing. And we have the grade 7s learners who look after that vegetable garden. So
Can
they
you
water.
tell me like a really happy story about somebody that had a really bad time and then, you know, through just connectedness, just being with somebody from city or something good happened?
So for me, I think with the motto that I always live by is that it doesn't matter what I do, but if I can touch one child's life, for me, that would make perfect sense. It's something I wake up to every morning, that even if the world might not see the difference that I'm trying to make, but if one child sees it, and that's how when I walk into the school every morning, it's a big school which has 1,850 learners from grade R until grade 7. As soon as I walk into the primary school, I've already adopted all those kids. So as soon as they are in class, or whether there's a teacher, as soon as I walk into the school gate, the class is open and kids start running out to jump at me. And there's nothing, I don't buy anything for those kids. I don't give them anything. Every day, every single day when I walk into that school, the simplest thing I do is put my bag down, give a child a hug and say, "You're looking good this morning." And for me, that's been working wonders, because wherever I go, even when I meet them walking with their parents during maybe after school and whatsoever, the parents already know me that this is Sis Lindiwe. She's like my second mother at school. So for me, I'm doing something.
A hug and a positive word. Sister Mary Patrick, who taught me in high school, said, wake up in the morning and say, today will be a successful day if one person is better off because you're alive. And, you know, just do one thing. A hug would make her so happy. Smash. Who is the best name, by the way? Her real name is about this long. And she just took some of the initials and it's a hit.
All right.
Smash
Thank you.
hit, you get that. Okay.
I think for me, Sibiya is not only for the student, but the volunteers that come into the program. I want to talk about the guy called Tulani Madondo. He was a Heroes of the Year last year. He was nominated out of 350 countries, and he won that award in Los Angeles last year. He was also one of the volunteers in 2005. He comes from a very disadvantaged community called Kliptown. So after he did his year at Sibiya, he realized that the skills that he got from Sibiya, he can actually go back and open a similar program to what Sibiya has in his own community. And he has a bigger center now in Kliptown where the kids that don't have food at home, they've got a kitchen there where they cook for them. They've got homework centers. They also partner with schools that are fully resourced, where they will help them with computer lessons and stuff like that. So for me, Sibiya is not only for the student that we work with, but also for the volunteers that are coming in. Because what we've realized is when Sibiya started in South Africa, we were able to attract diverse group of people. But now we are not. We are attracting young people who are sitting at home, who are unemployed, who wants to be skilled. And as soon as they are skilled, they go out there and they open their small projects, which it's like a ripple effect for me, because if Sibiya can't touch all the communities, they can touch one person and that person can go back to their communities.
And the whole domino effect. Your
Yes.
personal story, and then I'd love to hear from both of you, but Smash, you have such an interesting personal story about isolation. Will you want to share it with us?
My personal story will be homosexuality. I think being gay in a country like South Africa, where there's 11 different cultures and most cultures don't believe in homosexuality, that brings in isolation. However, I don't feel that I was isolated because I had a great family where they understood. Even if when you go outside and you play with other kids and their parents say, no, don't play with her, she's going to give you that disease. Because somehow they think if you're lesbian, you've got a disease, you know?
And tell them what they do sometimes to lesbian women to change them.
Yeah, they actually rape lesbian women as part of corrective behavior. They say they're correcting the behavior that you have and they rape them. But I would like to say I was the luckiest person because I have a family that is very supportive. So I've never been treated in that way, but I've seen cases where young women have been raped, and most of them, they don't even talk about it. They keep it to themselves because they know even if they go to the police and report the case, the police don't take it serious because they feel whatever they're doing is wrong. So homosexuality is one of the biggest issues we have in our country, where it actually promotes the isolation.
One of the things I think, and jump in here, they were saying is that recently it's not just people who have a little bit of money who are volunteering. It's actually more disadvantaged kids who have a real connection to the people who they're serving. Anyone want to talk about that, Portia or Lindiwe?
Okay, I think for now, the challenge is unemployment, especially with our young people. So a lot of young people finish matric, but because of information, we know that the government has given out bursaries and given out so much information, but because of lack of information, where it's very difficult to get the information throughout. So learners are starting, young people are starting to sit at home after matric. So what Sibiya does is, as soon as people see this opportunity where you can volunteer on a youth program for 10 months, getting a stipend of 1.8 every month. And
It's
also
about $180 a month. That's it. For $180 a month, you can get a student to be one of these fabulous
a volunteer for
volunteers.
10 months. And
Yeah.
with that 10 month, that money, some people are actually supporting their families with that money. So people come into the program, young people come into our program to get a training and also certificates that we give them at the end of the year, but also just to upgrade themselves, because it's such a nice project, especially for young people who are just coming out of high school, or even who are in the work environment. They can come back and just give a year of service. Like how it says at Sibiya, you serve your city for just 1 year.
And Portia, Smash talked about this, about how this is a model that's working and somebody else who went through it is carrying it on. Do you have any other recommendations about how to scale this up, how to make this bigger, affect more kids?
I think for starters, I would like to share, to go back to the question that you have asked. It relates I think it speaks closely to SMASH and Lindiwe. They were part of the program. SMASH was a volunteer in 2006, and then she came back in 2011 as a staff member. Lindiwe as well around the same year. So I think there is that understanding that as soon as you give back your time, your love, and your care to another individual, it makes you feel happy, and then you want to give more. So there is that reciprocity in the work that we do, and SMASH and Lindiwe, they are the perfect examples of that. So I think to upscale our program, there's quite a number of variables that you can look into. I think for starters, it will be to spread the program to other provinces. I think the understanding and that awareness of social isolation has given us an opportunity to be deliberate in structuring our program and the activities that we do with our learners. So all the games, all the activities that we play with our learners, we try by all means to connect with them so that we are able to boost our students' self-esteem and self-confidence. So I think other variables will be around the issues of more funding and so forth, so that we are able to get more volunteers and spread the program into other provinces in our country.
Just to take 1 minute to go down here and talk about, when you're looking at the kids that you're helping, what does isolation mean for them? Just to remind us about why we're all here, about what it has done. You were saying, go ahead, Smash.
Okay, for me, I'm fortunate enough that I served in a school that is in my community where I grew up. So I see these kids. And I think if you are isolated, you don't have a voice. If you are isolated, you don't have a sense of belonging. You don't feel like you belong anywhere. And your self-esteem. And it actually hinders you to be the best that you can be. But as soon as you connect to someone, especially when it comes to Sibiya, when they see our red jackets and we walk in the school, kids become their best because they know we have created that environment that they're accepted. Whether they come from a poorest homes or whether they don't look like other kids, they are accepted, and it gives them a chance to be themselves and to be the best they can be.
Oh, I love that. Kids become their best. Any more personal stories about this? Because I really feel that it's so inspiring, either what it's done to you, because of what you talked about the mutual benefit, or about how you've seen a certain child, without naming him, but just what you have seen somebody blossom because they were less isolated.
I think, so during our after-school program, we've got different activities. A lot of our kids are having learning barriers, challenges in understanding the work and so forth. So what we did was we tried to establish new ideas and also just activities on how we can include all the learners into our after-school program. So in most cases, we'd be outside in the school ground or come in the school classroom where we all form a circle. So a circle, meaning a strong circle, would include everybody in that circle. So for me, when I started at the school that I'm working in, I only came back at Sibiya in 2013. The school that I worked in, it's a huge school, and in most cases, you don't really see the challenges that learners are experiencing, because there's just a few learners. So what I did was, with the learners that were pulling back in most cases, those are the learners that I came forward and I pushed into my side. And as soon as I did that, there's one learner, and his name is Thabo. And Thabo was this kid who always used to fight. He would fight to everybody. And I think the first time when I came to the school, he was in grade 6. Grade 5. I'm not sure what you call it here, but it was grade 5. And when I walked in, there was a huge fight in class, and Thabo is old. He's the eldest in the class. And they're always busy making fun of him because they just tell him he's stupid. And Thabo wasn't stupid. It's just that Thabo went to school late than other learners. So when he went to school late, and it's because his mother didn't want to go and register him until such a neighbor took him to school, and that's how he got to school. So learners were busy making fun of him. So when we walked in on the first day when I walked into that school, there was a huge fight. He fights. He was kicking, he was beating up people, he was doing whatsoever. And what I can tell you is today Thabo is the #1 soccer player of that school. As we walked into that school, we started having that connection, and we started doing these activities, just me and him, where I showed him the reality of things, to say, I didn't grow up with a dad, you don't have a father. My mother was a strong woman, and your mother is lacking a bit, but I can play half the role that your mom can't play at this point. You can show me your achievements, and I can celebrate those achievements with you. And slowly but surely, Thabo started picking up. He's still the eldest in the school, but he's slowly picking up, and he's one of the soccer players, the best soccer players in that primary school. And that's my story, to say every time I look at Thabo, I can see really that I am doing something in that community.
It's a great story. It's a great story. We'll just end with going down the line and talking about what you hope to do. You know, you've had such an interesting position. You have interesting personal stories. You've seen so many other people about what confidence can do to somebody who, right, you're good at soccer and all of a sudden you have confidence. So what do you see yourself doing in 5 or 10 years? What are your hopes?
I think there's quite a number of things that I see myself doing, but I think the most important thing that is on top of my priority is continuing to do the work that I'm doing, providing hope to young people who do not necessarily have hope, young people that our society have somehow rejected, and continue connecting with them, and continue promoting the spirit of Ubuntu in our country. And that is the most. There are other things that I would like to do on a personal and family level, but this is my passion that I will carry even if I go and retire. I know that when I sleep at night, I sleep very peacefully, knowing that I've made a difference in the life of another person.
Great job description, giving hope. That's fantastic. You know, Portia's a chess player too. Very interesting person here. Smash.
For me, I would like to see Sibiya, South Africa grow in our country, because I think with the 9 schools that we're working in, it's not enough. It's really not enough, because in my community where I come from in Soweto, we've got a whole lot of schools. And I would like to see Sibiya, South Africa grow, and with the knowledge and all the skills that I have, I will help Sibiya, South Africa to grow.
That's fantastic.
So for me, I think also, like Portia and Smash have already said, that the work that we do is just not the ordinary work that you wake up to and go and do. It's the work that pays off with a smile at the end of the day. So for me, it's also going back to my community and trying to establish such organizations where information centers are very rare in our communities. But if I can have something where our learners will be able to, also the young people that are in our communities, get the information that is not there at this point. So for me, is sending out information, being the middle person between opportunities and information for young people in my community. So my responsibility and what I want to do from this day going forward to the 5 years that you've mentioned is being that person who brings not only information but also hope into the community that made me who I am today. So yes, I'm looking forward to going back and studying hard work from now on going further.
Work that puts a smile on your face at the end of the day. That's what we all hope for. Thank you. Spectacular trio here.